Hi everyone, I'm Laurient.
And I'm Mike.
Welcome back to our channel. So for today's video, I asked over on Instagram what everybody wanted to see first on our channel, and I gave two options, our evening routine and a story time about how we met. And I think like 80% of people said the story time about how we met. So that's what we're gonna get into today. So Mike and I met, I feel like we need a drum roll.
In high school.
Met in high school. And I feel like whenever we say that, people always have the same reaction. They're like, they cock their head to the side and they're like, oh, how sweet. High school sweethearts.
Yeah, it was nothing like that.
That wasn't us, not us.
No.
Yeah, so who approached who first, Michael?
I approached you first. Yes, I saw you in high school. And I was like, I got to get me some of that.
Did you?
And
it took a while, but he did.
I did.
It took years.
I eventually, got there. So, I approached you on MySpace because I wasn't man enough
Well, you
to...
found my MySpace. You messaged me on AIM. So I must have had my screen name on my MySpace page.
Okay,
as one does.
I approached you on AIM because I wasn't man enough to approach you face to face.
In real life?
I already knew I was out of my league.
Oh.
So now here we are, from MySpace to my place.
So yeah, he had messaged me, and he added me on MySpace, and I accepted his request, or I followed him back, or whatever you called it on MySpace. I don't even remember what it's called. And no, like when you make somebody your friend. Like when you're MySpace friends. I guess. I feel like that's a Facebook thing. But anyway. So we became Facebook friends, and then he started messaging me on AIM. And I always responded. I always wrote you back, but I knew that you weren't necessarily my type. And I didn't know him before that, even though we went to the same school, because Mike is a grade older than me. He's a year older than me. So we weren't in the same classes or anything like that, so I didn't know him.
I'm a little curious. You say I wasn't your type, eh? Now, as such a good looking guy I am, I'm just curious. I think we're all curious of...
We're all curious?
Why was I not your type?
So I was into like skater boys. I have a little one clawing at me over here. She wants to sit up. Oh, were you just using me to get to daddy? That's wrong. That is wrong. So I was into like skater boys and guys in bands, and Mike had like really short hair. Like I loved like long shaggy hair. He had like really short hair. He was into hip hop. His hoodies always matched his hat, and they always matched his shoes. It was like a whole look. Like it was a whole lot of look.
I had a rap group.
You did not have a rap group.
You're right, I didn't.
He didn't have a rap group.
Imagine though.
I actually started dating somebody shortly after Mike started messaging me online, and then Mike kind of just faded off into the distance. And I was with that person for like 3 years, so the rest of my high school experience, so we never really interacted again in high school. And then while I was a freshman in college, I was in college in state, so I wasn't far from home at all, and I found myself single for the first time in like my young adult life. And so I randomly logged onto my MySpace one day, because at this point everybody has migrated to Facebook, and I checked my MySpace just for the fun of it, and I had recent messages on there from this guy.
Looks like I didn't migrate.
So he was like the last person still using MySpace, I think. Just you and Tom. So I wrote him back, and we exchanged a couple more messages, and then we exchanged phone numbers, and we were like texting back and forth. And then you asked me on a date.
I did.
A whole date.
A whole date.
I was really excited because it was like my first date, really. I mean, when you date somebody in high school, when you're that young, like you're 14, 15 years old, like neither of you has a car, neither of you has any money, so you're not going anywhere. You're sitting on your parents' couch and you're like, we're dating. But so this was like the first time a guy was coming to pick me up and take me out to dinner. So I was like all excited.
Right. So I came in, I picked you up.
You did. We went to dinner at Houlihan's.
Yes, Houlihan's.
So the date was kind of weird because I feel like, I mean, on my part, I can only speak for myself.
I thought it went well.
But I was going back and forth. There were like points in the conversation where I felt really comfortable talking to him, but then Mike would say something or like ask something that I felt was like maybe like a little too personal to ask on a first date. And I was just like, oh, now I'm a little uncomfortable. So it was just like honestly like a back and forth. And now that I know Mike, I know that like Mike knows no bounds. Like he doesn't have boundaries. He just asks, and that's just part of who he is. And
you never know until
I've come to like that about him. But at the time I didn't know, and I just was like, wow, that's like kind of forward. So also you have to keep in mind at this point in the story, I'm 19 years old and Mike is 20. So I'm still very young and I'm still very inexperienced with men and dating in general. So after that, we go take a walk at the waterfront. And I didn't have a coat on, it's February. So I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna get sick. And Mike kept using that as like an opportunity to like
touch up on you,
rub up on me. And I was just like, feeling a little uncomfortable. And so
the only way to get comfortable is by being uncomfortable.
So then we went bowling. I think we only played like 2 games. Who won?
I believe you won.
I just like hearing him say it. I did win. I won both games. And at one point I was like, should I be like whooping him right now? Like I should probably let him win, right? And then I was like, nah. Actually, even if I didn't try, I would still have won. Like Mike is really just that bad of a bowler, unfortunately.
Jeez, my God.
Just laying it on thick. Look at these guys. Who wouldn't love all these guys? So during our bowling games, Mike made an interesting bet, which... What would you bet me?
Well, no, if I remember correctly, the bet was if I win, and I get to kiss you, and if I wind up losing, and you win, your prize is you get to kiss me.
Oh.
Right.
Sounds like a win-win for you.
No, well, yeah, I guess so.
So when we were in the car after bowling, Mike was like, hey, your prize is here. And I, like I mentioned before.
Ready.
Hot and ready like a pizza.
That's right.
And like I mentioned before, I wasn't really sure how I was feeling about him. I was having a really an internal battle between like whether I liked him or I just like thought it wasn't gonna work. I don't know, I was very in my head. I probably self-sabotaged a little bit. I probably could have given it another chance because, you know, first dates are
awful. Were you pushing me away because you thought I was too perfect for you, or?
I don't think that's what it was. But at that point, I was like, you know what? Sometimes a kiss can really help, you know, figure things out. So I was like, I'm gonna do it. So we kissed.
Right.
And I think it was the greatest moment of Mike's life. I think his whole life had been building up to that moment.
Right. How about yours? No good?
Not as much. So that was that, and then I was like, you know what, it's late, it was like 10 o'clock. I was like, my brother's gonna
trying to get rid of me.
Yeah, I was like, my brother's gonna be worried, can you bring me home? And so he brought me home, and then he texted me later on that night saying like, hope you had a good time, whatever. And I was like, oh God, I gotta like break it to this guy that like, I don't think that this is gonna work. Like, I don't think we're gonna be a thing. So I just texted him and I was just like, I did, thank you so much, I had a good time. But I think that maybe you and I are just like better suited as friends.
But here we are.
But he sent back a very sassy text.
I'm a very sassy guy.
Okay, yeah, what did you say to me?
What did you say to me?
I said we should be friends.
Oh, yes. I do recall saying I have plenty of friends and that's not what I'm looking for.
That is not what you said. You said, I have plenty of friends. I'm good.
Same thing.
Petty wop. It was in February of 2010. So we didn't talk until like April, May of 2012. So like 2 years passed. And those 2 years were really important, I think, for both of us. In those 2 years, you entered like your first long-term relationship that lasted what, like a year?
It was a year, and then
it was like on and off for a year.
Got back together.
Yeah, it was a little touch and go, but I mean, I think that was like your first experience with like love, kind of, and
feelings.
Yeah, I think you learned a lot from that about, what would you say, like what you wanted and didn't want?
I learned a lot from that relationship, yes.
And then for me, those 2 years were just me trying to find that person that I'd want to be in a relationship with. There's dogs fighting everywhere. These two were like the worst. And it was just a lot of like casually dating, meeting people that I thought were gonna turn into, you know, long-term relationships, but they never did. It was like I was meeting the same person over and over again. He was just like in a different body each time. It was exhausting. That was also a tough spring for me because I lost my grandfather, who was really, really important to me. Mike would message me all the time, and he didn't know anything about what was going on in my personal life, like at all.
Nope.
You were just like chit-chatting with me, and I did find you annoying at first, but then I came to like look forward to your messages, your direct messages. I think you were like messaging me on Facebook, and every time he saw that I was on, he would immediately like message me, and I'd be like,
oh, at that time I graduated to Facebook.
Yeah, he finally is on Facebook now. And so I just look forward to talking to him every day. Like it was like a consistent thing, but Mike kept reaching out to go on another date or like to try things again, and I had that bad memory of the first date, and I was just like, I just don't know.
You just wanted to be my internet friend.
I liked the attention, and then one day I was on, and I guess Mike was just tired of hearing no. And so for like the first time in like a month or two, he saw that I was on, and he was on, and he didn't message me. And I remember sitting there like looking, like when is he gonna message me? And he just didn't. And I think for the first time
it's all game, baby.
I think for the first time I realized that like, I kind of like him because I'm kind of upset right now that he's not messaging me. Like, why isn't he messaging me? And I remember texting my friend, my best friend, and I was like, he's on, he's not messaging me. And she's like, why do you care? I thought you didn't like him. And I was just like, well, I don't know, I guess maybe a little bit. And she was like, so why don't we give it another chance? She's like, it's been 2 years, people grow, you've grown, you've changed, he might have too. So she was like, if you don't want it to be weird, set it up like a double date. So we set up a double date. I messaged him first that night and said, you know what? I'm finally ready to
have that horrible kiss again.
To try this again. Let's get together as friends with friends and see what happens. So it was in June at this point, June 2012, and I grabbed my best friend, he grabbed his best friend, and we actually hung out at Mike's house.
Yes.
And Mike was like, oh, I'm gonna have like a little, you know, bonfire in the backyard.
Fire in the back. We had beer.
Yeah, we had like Lindsay and yeah, my friend and I brought over beer, and you guys had beer, and we were just like,
well, I had a 4 Loko.
Oh God. So whatever, we were all just drinking and hanging out, and you always tell me that you feel like you thought I didn't like you.
Yeah, I didn't sense that you were liking me very much.
Because I never learned how to like properly like flirt with people.
Okay.
So I still flirt like kids on a playground, like, you know, when like you were little and like the little boy pulls your hair and you're like, ow, you put it in your mouth, like, oh, well, he likes you. Like that's me as an adult. I'm like, I insult you in a joking way.
Still haven't changed.
But like, it means I like you.
You haven't changed much.
I haven't.
Today. We're married.
That's never gonna change. That's just old habits die hard. So Mike thought I didn't like him, and I did. And so that night, we all just hung out as friends, and I was just like, you know what, I like him enough to hang out with him again. And I think like, was it 2 nights later, or it might have even been the next night, we hung out again, just the 2 of us this time. So after that first night, we were pretty inseparable, and we finally had a second first kiss. And this time, amazing, fireworks, like what you expect when you're about to kiss somebody that you're really into. And again, it was probably just a matter of mindset. I wasn't there the first time, the second time, but I remember like thinking like, oh my God, he's gonna kiss me, like tonight's the night he's gonna kiss me. We were out late together, we were at the same waterfront that we were at on our first date, hanging out again. And I really liked him. I was so nervous that he was gonna kiss me and it was gonna be a bad first kiss. Well, I mean, from there we were pretty inseparable. We spent the entire summer together. We dated that whole year. And then in June of 2013, on our 1-year anniversary, we were away on like a weekend trip down the shore. And Mike proposed to me. We were walking on the beach after dinner on our anniversary night and it was pitch black. And all of a sudden Mike started mumbling like some like really like nervous like monologue and I was like, what are you doing? And then he was like standing there like with a box and I was like, oh my God. And he was like, will you marry me? And I was like, you have to get down on your knee, one knee. Okay, ask again. He was so nervous, he forgot to get down.
I was very nervous.
Why? You didn't think I was gonna say yes?
I wasn't really sure how it was gonna go.
I said yes, in case you were wondering.
She did say yes. Here we are. Clearly said yes.
Yeah, I mean, we had a long engagement. We were engaged for like 2.5 years.
Was it that long?
Yeah, we got engaged in June 2013. We didn't get married until October 2015. So maybe not 2.5, a full half.
Just like that movie, the 3-year engagement.
I think it's longer than the 3-year engagement. Are you sure it's not the 5-year engagement?
I'm pretty sure it's the 3-year engagement, but I could be wrong. You guys could let us know below in the comments.
So yeah, that is our story. That's how we met and got together, and yeah, I mean, the rest is history. We've been married for 4 years this October, and we'll be together for 7 years in June.
7 years, almost a decade.
Well, take it easy.
I mean,
it's 3 years away from a decade.
It's close enough.
7 glorious years.
It's a long time.
Man.
A lot of Advil. A lot of Advil.
A whole lot of love and a little bit of Advil. That's like our marriage motto.
So you gotta have that.
A whole lot of love.
Definitely get the family tag.
So we hope you enjoyed our story time. If you have any recommendations for story times that you'd like to see from us in the future, leave them below in the comment, as well as just any videos in general that you might be interested in seeing. We're new at this, like I said, so we'll take all the suggestions we can get. And we will see you in our next video. Bye.